Commander Zixthal entered the Great Hall of the Orion Confederation Academy. His four-legged walk was slow and careful. Years of battle had left marks all over his blue-gray skin. The room fell silent as he approached the speaking platform. 300 young alien cadets watched him with all their eyes. Some had 2 eyes, others had 6 or 8. All of them knew the stories about Commander Zixthal. He was a legend. For 50 years, he had led Confederation ships in battles across the galaxy. Now in his final teaching session before retirement, he would share the most important lessons he had learned. Future warriors of the Confederation, he began, his voice deep and rough. Today I will tell you about the most dangerous species we have ever faced. The cadets looked at each other. Most thought he would talk about the fire-breathing draconians or the telepathic Vrek swarms. I will tell you about humans, Zixthal said. A murmur spread through the crowd. Humans? Those small pink creatures from that backwater planet? They were barely space-capable compared to the Confederation's vast technology. A brave cadet raised her hand. She had purple skin and 3 eyes in a triangle pattern on her face. Commander, she said, with respect, humans seem very weak. Their ships are slow. Their weapons are simple. They have only been in space for a short time. Zixthal's mouth parts clicked together. This was the reaction he expected. Cadet, what is your name? He asked. Vrental, sir, she replied. Cadet Vrental. That kind of thinking has killed more Confederation warriors than any human weapon, he said. His voice wasn't angry, just tired, like someone who had seen this mistake too many times. He pressed a button on his wrist device. A large screen appeared in the air above him. This recording is from 15 years ago, Zixthal explained. It shows our first major battle with human forces. The screen showed space near a small blue-green planet. 3 large Confederation warships surrounded a much smaller human vessel. The human ship was damaged, trailing smoke and debris. This was the human ship Defiant, commanded by Captain Alan Wright, Zixthal said. We had destroyed their escort ships. Their engines were failing. The logical action was surrender. The cadets watched as the small human ship suddenly fired up its engines, not away from the Confederation ships but directly toward the largest one. What are they doing? A cadet asked. Exactly what we asked ourselves, Zixthal said. We thought their navigation was damaged. The human ship increased speed. The Confederation ships fired warning shots, then actual weapons. The human ship took more damage but didn't change course. Then we realized, Zixthal continued, they were going to ram us. The cadets watched in shock as the small human ship crashed directly into the largest Confederation vessel. A huge explosion filled the screen. When it cleared, both ships were destroyed. We lost the command ship and Supreme Commander Zorval that day, Zixthal said, along with 800 warriors. He paused to let this sink in. We later learned that Captain Wright knew about a civilian transport behind our ships, a transport we hadn't detected. He sacrificed his ship and crew to prevent us from finding it. Zixthal walked slowly across the platform. After that day, I began studying humans, their history, their psychology, their wars. What I learned frightened me. He showed another image on the screen. It was a ruined human city. This is from their own planet. Before they reached space, humans fought countless wars among themselves. They nearly destroyed their own world multiple times. They developed more ways to kill each other than any species we've encountered. The image changed to show human soldiers in various environments, deserts, jungles, frozen mountains. They can fight anywhere. They adapt to any condition. Their bodies are surprisingly tough. They can lose blood, even limbs, and continue fighting. The cadets were completely silent now. But their physical abilities are not what makes them dangerous, Zixthal said. It's how they think. He showed a new image, a human chessboard. Humans create games like this to practice strategy. They have thousands of books about warfare. They study how to fight in ways we never considered. They think about battle all the time. Zixthal brought up a new recording. This one showed a human ship hiding behind a small moon. 3 Confederation scout ships passed by without noticing it. This is Captain Susan Miller. She waited motionless for 6 days until our patrol pattern was clear to her. Then, the human ship suddenly powered up and attacked the Confederation vessels from behind. Despite being smaller, it destroyed 2 of them before the third could escape. She didn't have orders to attack us, Zixthal explained. She decided on her own that it was worth the risk. Humans call this initiative. Their commanders allow lower ranks to make big decisions. An older cadet with scaly skin raised a hand. But Commander, that's chaos. How can they coordinate their attacks if everyone makes their own decisions? That's exactly why they're so hard to fight, Zixthal replied. When we disrupt their communications, our ships wait for new orders. Human ships keep fighting based on their last instructions. They improvise. They surprise us. He shut off the screen and faced the cadets directly. I've fought 18 different species across this galaxy. Humans are the only ones who scare me. The room was completely silent. The Confederation is superior in nearly every way, Zixthal continued. Our ships are faster. Our weapons are more powerful. We have more resources and better technology. Yet we signed a peace treaty with humans 8 years ago. Do you know why? No one answered. Because after studying them for years, our greatest minds determined that a full war with humans might destroy us both. Even if we won, the cost would be too great. Zixthal's 4 eyes scanned across the young faces in front of him. Tomorrow I will show you recordings of their ground warfare, how they fight when cornered, the lengths they will go to when protecting. They're young. The weapons they created to use against each other and now could use against us. He stepped down from the platform. His legs moved stiffly. Learn from my experiences, he said quietly. Never underestimate humans. They look harmless until they aren't. They appear weak until they destroy you. As Commander Zixthal left the hall, not a single cadet made a sound. The stories they had heard as children about the fierce warrior. Zixthal suddenly made sense. He wasn't just a great fighter, he was a survivor, one of the few who had faced humans in battle and lived to tell about it. The next day, the cadets arrived early. The room buzzed with excited whispers. Yesterday's stories about humans had spread throughout the academy. Even some senior officers stood at the back of the hall. Commander Zixthal entered exactly on time. He moved more slowly today, his old battle wounds clearly causing him pain, but his 4 eyes were sharp and alert as he took his place at the front. Yesterday I told you about space battles with humans, he began. Today I will show you how they fight on the ground. He activated the large screen again. It showed a forested planet with 3 moons. This is Epsilon Delta 4, a mining colony. We tried to establish 12 years ago. We detected no intelligent life, just basic animals. Perfect for our needs. The image zoomed in to show Confederation buildings and mining equipment. Almost 100 aliens worked there, setting up the first structures. 3 months after we arrived, we discovered humans had a small research station on the far side of the planet. Just 6 humans studying the local plants. We had missed them in our scans. Zixthal clicked a button. The image changed to show a Confederation military leader. General Krasvex decided to capture the humans. He sent 20 warriors to their station. The screen showed Confederation soldiers approaching a small human building in a clearing. The warriors were told it would be easy. The humans were scientists, not fighters. They had no military training. The cadets watched as the Confederation forces surrounded the small station. What happened next changed how we think about humans forever. The recording showed the warriors moving closer. Suddenly, the ground under 4 of them collapsed. They fell into hidden pits with sharp stakes at the bottom. The humans had spotted our warriors coming. With just 30 minutes of warning, they set traps around their entire station. As the remaining warriors hesitated, small explosions erupted around them. Not powerful enough to kill, but they created thick smoke. They used chemicals from their lab to make smoke bombs, Zixthal explained. Then, while our warriors were confused, a lone human burst from the station, wearing what looked like homemade armor. He carried a metal pipe with some kind of firing mechanism attached. This was Dr. Frank Cooper, a botanist, not a soldier. He made that weapon from parts of their research equipment. The human fired his makeshift gun. It shot small metal pieces with incredible force. 2 more Confederation warriors fell. The other humans used the confusion to escape into the forest, Zixthal continued. Our warriors were not prepared for any resistance. They retreated to report what happened. He paused the recording. General Krasvex was angry. He sent 60 warriors with full combat gear to find the humans. The screen showed the larger force spreading out through the forest. They moved carefully, checking for traps. For 7 days, the warriors hunted the humans. But the humans knew the forest better. They had been studying it for months. The recording showed brief encounters, quick attacks by the humans, then they would vanish again, sometimes using traps, sometimes using their makeshift weapons. The humans never attacked head-on. They would strike quickly, then disappear. They would lead our warriors into swamps or dangerous animal territories. Zixthal zoomed in on one particular moment. A female human was hiding in a tree. As warriors passed below, she dropped a net filled with stinging insects on them. This is Dr. Lucy Winters. Her specialty was studying insects. She knew exactly which ones would cause the most pain without killing. By the end of the recording, the Confederation forces were exhausted and demoralized. They had lost 12 warriors with 20 more injured. The humans remained free. Eventually, General Krasvex called for reinforcements. 200 warriors came to the planet. After 3 more weeks, they finally captured the 6 humans. Zixthal shut off the screen. Think about this, he said quietly. 6 civilian scientists, with no weapons, held off nearly 300 trained warriors for a month. A cadet raised a hand. But they were captured in the end. We won. Zixthal's mouth parts clicked together in what the cadets now recognized as a sign of frustration. Did we? The operation cost 8 million resources. We lost 27 warriors. And when news reached the human government, he showed a new image. A massive human fleet approaching the planet. They sent 30 warships. They demanded the return of their people and our complete withdrawal from the planet. If we refused, they would attack. Another cadet spoke up. But we had mining rights. The planet wasn't claimed. Yes, Zixthal agreed. By our laws, we were correct. But humans follow different rules when their people are threatened. He moved closer to the cadets. We did the logical thing. We returned the humans and left the planet. The cost of fighting that fleet would have been too high. The commander brought up a new recording. This one showed a battlefield on a dusty, rocky planet. This is from the Battle of Taurus 7. We had a proper military base here, 500 warriors with full equipment and defenses. The image showed a human dropship landing behind a ridge. Human soldiers in combat armor poured out. This was Major Olivia Martinez and her unit. 120 human soldiers against our 500. The next part of the recording showed the human attack. They didn't charge directly at the Confederation base. Instead, they split into small groups. Some created distractions. Others sneaked around the sides. Notice how they use the land, Zixthal pointed out. They crawl through small spaces. They use rocks for cover. They communicate with hand signals. The cadets watched as the humans slowly encircled the base. When they attacked, it came from all sides at once. They couldn't match our technology, Zixthal said. But they used the environment perfectly. They studied our patrol patterns. They attacked during the changing of the guard. The recording showed the humans breaching the base walls. The fighting became close and chaotic. In open space, our weapons are superior, but in close quarters, humans are surprisingly strong. They keep fighting even when injured. By the end of the battle, the humans had captured the base. The surviving Confederation warriors were taken prisoner. 2 lessons, Zixthal said as he turned off the screen. First, humans can turn anything into a weapon. Their scientists become warriors when needed. Their civilians will fight alongside soldiers. He looked at each cadet in turn. Second, humans have an unusual ability. When facing a stronger enemy, they become more creative, more determined. Where most species surrender when outmatched, humans become more dangerous. Zixthal's voice grew quieter. Tomorrow I will show you why the Confederation High Command decided to seek peace with humans. Why, despite all our advantages, we determined that a full war with Earth would be too costly to win. As the commander limped out of the hall, the Cadets sat in silence. Many of them had joined the academy dreaming of glorious battles. Now they were learning the cold truth that experienced warriors already knew. Sometimes, the wisest strategy was to avoid fighting at all. On the third day, the academy hall was filled to capacity. Word had spread about Commander Zixthal's lectures. Senior officers took up most of the back rows. Even the academy director, a tall, six-armed alien with golden skin, stood by the door. When Commander Zixthal entered, he seemed surprised by the crowd. He moved to the front slowly, his old body clearly tired. Yet his voice remained strong when he spoke. "For 2 days I have shown you how humans fight in space and on the ground," he began. "Today I will show you why the Confederation decided to make peace with them." He activated the screen. It showed a large planet with swirling clouds and 2 small moons. "This is Aurora Colony, one of our oldest settlements outside our home system. 20,000 Confederation citizens lived there. It was a center for art and learning, not a military base." The image changed to show human warships approaching the planet. 8 years ago, after a series of battles in disputed territories, the human military launched an attack on Aurora. They sent 15 ships under the command of Admiral George Mason. Several cadets murmured in surprise. Attacking a civilian planet was not considered honorable warfare. "We had only 5 defense ships protecting Aurora," Zixthal continued. "The humans outnumbered them 3 to 1. The screen showed the human ships forming a blockade around the planet. But Admiral Mason did not attack immediately. Instead, he sent this message to our forces. A human appeared on screen. He wore a blue uniform with gold markings on the shoulders. His face had wrinkles around the eyes and mouth, showing his age. "This is Admiral Mason of the Earth Fleet," the human said. "We have no desire to harm civilians. You have 6 hours to evacuate all military personnel from Aurora. Any military ships or personnel remaining after that time will be considered hostile. Civilian ships may leave freely during this period. We will provide safe passage." Zixthal paused the recording. This confused our commanders. The humans had superior forces. Why wait? Why allow civilians to escape? He resumed the recording. It showed Confederation civilian ships leaving the planet while the human fleet kept their distance. Our military leaders decided to test the humans. They sent civilian ships with military equipment hidden aboard. The humans scanned each ship thoroughly. The screen showed a human ship stopping one of the Confederation vessels. When they discovered the hidden weapons, the humans sent the ship back to the planet. They did not destroy it. They gave a warning instead. Zixthal fast-forwarded the recording. After 6 hours, our 5 military ships remained in orbit, along with 2,000 military personnel on the surface. They were ordered to defend the planet at all costs. The screen showed the human ships moving into attack formation. What happened next changed our understanding of human warfare forever. The human ships began a precise attack. They disabled the engines of the Confederation vessels without destroying them. Then they launched smaller craft toward specific targets on the planet's surface. Admiral Mason's forces only attacked military installations. They avoided civilian areas completely. Their ground troops took great risks to prevent civilian casualties. The recording showed human soldiers evacuating Confederation civilians from areas near military targets. In just 2 days, they captured all our military forces on Aurora. Our casualties were minimal. No civilians were harmed. Zixthal turned off the screen and faced the audience. Our leaders were confused. Humans had shown such ferocity in previous battles. Why show restraint now? Why risk their own soldiers to protect our civilians? He brought up a new image. It showed Admiral Mason meeting with Confederation leaders after the battle. When asked this question, Admiral Mason said something that shocked our high command. Zixthal's voice became quieter. He said, "We fight hard, but we fight with honor. We are not monsters. We want peace, not extinction." The commander moved slowly across the platform. Our analysts studied all our encounters with humans. They found a pattern. Humans fight with extreme violence when defending their people. They show no mercy when their civilians are threatened, but when they have the advantage, they often show restraint. He clicked to a new image. It showed a human, and a Confederation diplomat signing a document. This led to the peace treaty 8 years ago. But the real reason for peace was what our deepest intelligence discovered about Earth. Zixthal pressed a final button. The screen showed images of devastated human cities. Buildings turned to dust. Vast areas left uninhabitable. Before humans reached space, they nearly destroyed themselves multiple times. They created weapons that could wipe out all life on their planet. They called it mutually assured destruction. The images showed human weapons tests, huge explosions that could be seen from space. Our scientists confirmed that humans have the knowledge to build these planet killers on a scale we had never imagined. They could destroy entire systems. Silence filled the hall. Even the senior officers looked troubled. The High Command realized a terrible truth. Zixthal said quietly, "If we pushed humans too far, if we threatened their homeworld or their colonies, they might use these weapons, even if it meant their own destruction." They had stood at the edge of extinction before, looking into the abyss of their own making. Shut off the screen and stood in silence for a moment. This is why we made peace. Not from kindness or weakness, from wisdom. Because humans are willing to destroy themselves rather than be conquered. And they would take us with them. A young cadet raised her hand. "Commander, are you saying humans are more dangerous when they're losing?" "Exactly," Zixthal nodded. "Most species become more cautious when facing defeat. Humans become more reckless, more creative, more willing to take desperate actions." Another cadet spoke up. "But the treaty has lasted 8 years. Humans have honored it. So they can be reasonable?" "Yes," Zixthal agreed. "This is the final lesson about humans. They are contradictions, capable of terrible violence, yet also of great compassion. They can be the most dangerous enemy or the most valuable ally." The commander's voice grew stronger. "Tomorrow, in our final session, I will show you recordings of the peace negotiations. You will see how humans think when they are not fighting, how they build rather than destroy. For if we are to maintain this peace, we must understand not just how humans wage war, but how they create." As Zixthal left the platform, the crowd remained silent. The Academy director stepped forward. "Commander Zixthal fought humans in 6 major battles," she said. "He is one of only 3 fleet commanders who faced them and survived. Remember his words well." The cadets filed out slowly. Many of them had joined the Academy seeking glory in battle. Now they were learning that sometimes the greatest victory was avoiding war altogether. The 4th day brought even more visitors to the Academy Hall. Officials from the Confederation government sat in a special section. They rarely attended cadet training, but Commander Zixthal's lectures had become an important event. The commander entered slowly, his 4 legs moving carefully. Today he carried a small memory device in his upper hands. He nodded to the officials before turning to address everyone. "We have discussed how humans fight," he began. "Today we will see how they make peace." He inserted the memory device into the display system. The screen lit up with an image of a large meeting room. Confederation leaders sat on one side of a long table. Humans sat on the other. "This is from the peace talks on Neutral Station 8, Zixthal explained. "After the Aurora battle, both sides agreed to negotiate. These recordings were classified until recently." He pointed to a human woman at the center of their delegation. She had dark skin and gray hair pulled back tightly. This is Ambassador Grace Howard, the lead human negotiator. She had never been a soldier, but she understood war. Her parents died in a conflict on Earth when she was young. The recording began to play. Ambassador Howard spoke first. "We are here because both humans and the Confederation have proven we can destroy each other," she said. "Now we must prove we can live together instead." Zixthal paused the recording. "Notice how direct she is. Humans don't use the formal speech patterns we prefer. They state their position clearly from the beginning." He resumed the playback. The Confederation leader, Supreme Counselor Mevran, responded with a long speech about the glory of the Confederation and its long history. Ambassador Howard listened patiently. When the counselor finished, she simply said, That history will mean nothing if we destroy each other. Let's discuss how to prevent that. Several cadets made surprised noises at her bluntness. Humans value what they call getting to the point. Zixthal explained. They see our formal speeches as wasting time. The recording continued. The negotiations moved to discussing contested star systems between human and Confederation space. We claim these 12 systems based on our exploration rights, the Confederation representative said, showing a star map. Ambassador Howard studied the map. We can accept your claims to these 8 systems, she said, highlighting part of the Fursun, but these 4 have resources vital to our colonies. We propose a shared development agreement instead of exclusive control. Zixthal stopped the recording again. This surprised our negotiators. We expected humans to fight for all the territory. Instead, they immediately offered compromise. But notice which systems they kept, the ones with specific materials they needed, not the largest or most prestigious ones. He continued the playback. The negotiations moved to military limitations. We propose both sides maintain a 20 light-year buffer zone between our forces, the Confederation military leader suggested. 10 light-years is sufficient, Ambassador Howard countered. With modern detection systems, 20 light-years would make responding to pirate attacks or natural disasters too slow. She was right, Zixthal commented. Our proposal was based on tradition, not practicality. Humans focus on what works, not what has always been done. The recording showed days of negotiations condensed into minutes. Both sides made offers, compromised, occasionally raised voices, but always returned to the table. 7 days into the talks, a crisis occurred, Zixthal said. The screen showed an urgent message arriving. A Confederation colony was under attack by an unknown force. At the same time, a human outpost had also been attacked. Both sides immediately suspected the other of treachery, Zixthal explained. The peace talks nearly collapsed. The recording showed angry accusations from both delegations. Then Ambassador Howard stood up and silenced the room. If either of us had planned this attack, would we target both sides simultaneously? She asked. This is clearly the work of someone who wants our negotiations to fail. I propose we send a joint team to investigate both attacks. Zixthal nodded at the screen. A logical suggestion, but one our leaders had not considered in their anger. The human ability to step back and analyze even in emotional moments is remarkable. The recording showed the joint investigation team discovering that a third species, the Volturi, had orchestrated both attacks hoping to trigger a war between humans and the Confederation. This shared threat actually strengthened the peace process, Zixthal said. For the first time, our forces worked alongside humans against a common enemy. The screen shifted to show human and Confederation ships working together to defend against Volturi attackers. Their combined tactics quickly overwhelmed the enemy. In just 3 days of fighting together, our military leaders gained more respect for humans than in years of fighting against them, Zixthal noted. The peace negotiations resumed with new energy. The final treaty was more detailed than any the Confederation had previously signed. It covered trade, cultural exchange, technology sharing, and mutual defense. The most unusual part was what humans called the People Clause, Zixthal said. He played the final section of the recording. Ambassador Howard insisted on adding terms that allowed individual humans and Confederation citizens to visit each other's worlds, study at each other's schools, and even live in each other's territory. Our citizens should know each other as people, not just as potential enemies, she said. Peace between governments is fragile. Peace between peoples is lasting. Zixthal turned off the recording and faced the audience. That treaty has held for 8 years. Trade between our peoples has increased 5-fold. 30 Confederation students now study on Earth. 25 humans study at our universities. He looked at the government officials in the audience. The human approach to peace is like their approach to war, practical, adaptable, and focused on results rather than tradition. They build peace by creating connections, not just by signing documents. A senior cadet raised his hand. Commander, which is more dangerous, humans at war or humans at peace? Sixthal's mouth parts clicked in what some now recognized as his version of a smile. An excellent question. Humans at war can destroy. Humans at peace can transform. Both can be threatening to those who fear change. He collected his memory device. Tomorrow, in our final session, I will share my personal encounters with humans, as enemies and later as allies. You will see why I believe our future depends on understanding these strange, contradictory beings. As the commander left, conversation erupted throughout the hall. The government officials huddled together, speaking in low voices. The cadets discussed everything they had learned about humans. For many of them, the most surprising lesson wasn't about human warfare at all. It was learning that these fierce fighters could also be thoughtful peacemakers when given the chance. On the fifth and final day, every seat in the academy hall was filled. Cadets sat on the floor in front. Senior officers stood along the walls. The academy director had invited government officials and even some civilian leaders. Everyone wanted to hear Commander Zixthal's final lecture about humans. When the commander entered, he moved differently. Despite his age and injuries, he stood straighter. His 4 eyes seemed brighter. This would be his last teaching session before retirement, and he intended to make it count. For 4 days, I have shown you recordings of humans in war and peace, he began. Today I will share my personal experiences with them, things that were not recorded in official reports. He activated the screen one last time. It showed a much younger Zixthal in a captain's uniform. He stood on the bridge of a Confederation warship. 30 years ago, I commanded the battleship, Righteous Fury. We encountered a small human exploration vessel near the Cygnus Void. They had strayed into our territory by mistake. The image showed the human ship. It was small and clearly not designed for combat. Following orders, I demanded their surrender. They refused and tried to escape. We fired warning shots. The recording showed energy beams crossing in front of the human vessel. But instead of stopping, the human ship accelerated directly toward the Righteous Fury. I thought they were attempting a suicide attack, like the Defiant we discussed on the first day. I ordered all weapons to fire. The audience watched as the Confederation ship launched a full attack. The human vessel took heavy damage but somehow survived. Then something unexpected happened. The human ship released small escape pods in all directions. I ordered my crew to ignore the escape pods and focus on the main ship. Zixthal continued. We destroyed it minutes later. He paused the recording. What I didn't understand then was that the human captain, Jack Nelson, had sacrificed his ship to save his crew. He stayed aboard until the last escape pod launched. Zixthal's voice grew softer. We captured 3 of the escape pods. Inside we found scientists and explorers, not soldiers. They told us their mission was to study space phenomena in the Cygnus Void. They had no idea they had entered Confederation territory. The commander looked down for a moment. I reported that we had destroyed an enemy vessel attempting to attack us. I received a commendation for protecting our borders. He looked up at the silent audience. 5 years later, during the first peace talks, I met the surviving crew members of that exploration ship. They had been returned to Earth in a prisoner exchange. One of them recognized me. The screen showed a human man with a scarred face standing in front of Zixthal at some formal event. This is Dr. Paul Rivera. He looked me in the eyes and said, "You killed good people who meant no harm, but I forgive you. War makes monsters of us all." Zixthal turned off the image. His forgiveness shamed me more than any punishment could have. I had been following orders, but I never questioned if those orders were right. The commander moved slowly across the platform. 3 years after that meeting, I was assigned to a joint Human Confederation science mission, a gesture of goodwill between our peoples. I would provide security while scientists from both species studied a dangerous stellar phenomenon. New images appeared on the screen. A Confederation science vessel near a violently unstable star. Our ship was damaged by a solar flare. We were trapped in a decaying orbit being pulled toward the star. Our engines were failing. The recording showed chaos on the bridge. Warning alarms blared as the ship moved closer to the deadly star. The human science vessel could have escaped. They were far enough away to reach safe distance before the star's next eruption. The screen showed the human ship turning around, not away from danger but toward the damaged Confederation vessel. There, Captain Maria Rivera, the daughter of Dr. Paul Rivera, who had forgiven me years earlier, brought her ship alongside ours. At great risk to themselves, they attached towing cables to pull us to safety. The recording showed the smaller human ship straining to move the larger Confederation vessel. Warning indicators flashed on both ships. The strain damaged their engines severely, but they succeeded. They saved 53 Confederation lives that day. Zixthal's voice grew stronger. When I asked Captain Rivera why she would risk her ship and crew to save us, especially given what I had done to her father's ship, she said something I will never forget. He paused, making sure every cadet was listening. She said, "My father taught me that how we treat our enemies defines us more than how we treat our friends. He forgave you. How could I do any less?" Complete silence filled the hall. Even the senior officials seemed moved. "This is what makes humans truly dangerous and truly valuable as allies," Zixthal said. "They can hate with frightening intensity. They can fight with shocking violence. But they can also forgive in ways we struggle to understand." He shut down the display system for the final time. "In my 50 years of service, I have fought 8 different species. I have made peace with 3. Humans are the only ones who have made me question everything I thought I knew about warfare and peace." 3. Commander looked at each section of the audience in turn. "If you remember nothing else from these 5 days, remember this. Humans are defined by their contradictions. They create art of tremendous beauty and weapons of terrible destruction. They fight with savage fury, yet show unexpected mercy. They can be the most dangerous enemy you will ever face, or the most loyal ally you could hope for." Zixthal stood as straight as his aged body allowed. "The future of the Confederation may depend on which side of humanity we bring forth through our own actions. If we treat them with respect and honor, they will respond in kind. If we treat them with treachery and cruelty, they will bring a fury upon us like nothing we have ever seen." As he finished speaking, something unprecedented happened. The Academy director stepped forward and gave the ancient warrior salute, a gesture normally reserved for fallen heroes. One by one, every officer in the room did the same. Then the cadets followed. Commander Zixthal returned the salute. Without another word, he walked slowly from the hall for the last time. His teaching days were over, but his lessons about humans would shape Confederation policy for generations to come. Outside the Academy, as night fell over the capital city, lights from a small human trading post glowed in the distance. Their strange music drifted on the wind. Their laughter carried across the darkness. So close, yet still so mysterious, the most puzzling and fascinating species the Confederation had ever encountered.